This section is on parallel and perpendicular lines. And if you look at the box at the top of your notes, you'll see it says that if L1 and L2 are any two non-vertical lines and their slopes are M1 and M2 respectively, then L1 is parallel to L2 if their slopes are the same, and L1 is perpendicular to L2 if when you multiply them together you get -1. Now I want to clarify this second bullet a little bit. What it means is when you multiply two slopes and you get -1, that means that the slopes were opposite reciprocals. So to kind of summarize, if two lines are parallel, that means that their slopes are the same, and if they are perpendicular, their slopes are opposite reciprocals of each other, so that when you multiply them together, they would equal -1. So let's take a look at example 1 and how you determine if lines are parallel or perpendicular, or neither, because they don't have to be one or the other. So if you have two lines and one of them goes through the point -1, 2 and 3, 5, and the other one goes through 4, 7, and 8, 10, we want to know if they are parallel, perpendicular, or neither. So what you have to do, what is absolutely required, is you have to compare their slopes. So let's label x1, y1, x2, y2 for our first line, and I'm going to use a little subscript 1 to indicate the first slope is equal to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, or 3 over 4. So the first slope is 3/4. By itself, that doesn't tell me anything. So let's look at the second line's points and label them x1, y1, x2, y2, and let's find M2, the second slope, the slope of the second line. That would be 10 minus 7 over 8 minus 4, which is 3/4. Now you compare those two slopes, and because they are the same, we can say the lines are parallel because, pardon the text language, but it's easier just to write that, the slopes are the same. So we drew the conclusion that because the slopes were the same, the lines are parallel. Let's look at B. Again, I have two lines. The first one is the line whose equation is 3x plus 5y equals 6. And the second one is the line whose equation is 5x minus 3y equals 2. Well, in order to compare their slopes, I need to have my lines in y equals mx plus b form, and then I can just look at the m for each particular line and compare. So let's start with the first line, 3x plus 5y equals 6. We're going to rearrange that equation like we did before to get it into y equals mx plus b form. I divide both sides by 5, and I get y equals -3/5 x plus 6/5. Now, because it's in y equals mx plus b form, I know that the slope of this first line is -3/5. And what I want to do is I want to compare it to the slope of the other line. So let's do the same thing with that equation. 5x minus 3y equals 2. Subtract your 5x. You get -3y equals -5x plus 2. Divide each term by -3, and we get y equals a negative divided by negative is a +3/5 x. A positive divided by a negative is a -2/3. So now I know that the slope of this line is +3/5. So comparing those two slopes, I see one is a -3/5, one is a +5/3. So because they are opposite signs, negative, positive, and one is 3/5 and the other is 5/3, they are opposite reciprocals. So our conclusion is that the lines are perpendicular because the slopes are opposite reciprocals.